Now here's the part of the show we simply call In Case You Miss It. It's a chance for you to look back at the magic and the mystery of horse racing here in British Columbia from the Sport of Kings perspective. In case you missed it. Several years ago, we did a feature on Brian Spud O'Connor, a trainer here at Hastings Racecourse, and his continuous battles with his demons. The piece also won us our second Sovereign Award.
There was a problem of both alcohol and drugs, and just not wanting to deal with things, you know. And after my father passed away, like, we were best of friends, and it's not that, you know, I was already headed that way, but that didn't, you know, I didn't respond well after that. And family and friends, they give me a lot of space. They kept thinking I'd bounce out of it, but I wasn't, you know. It went on for 3 or 4 years after my dad passed away. But now we seem to got, the last time I went to treatment, they kept me there for 100 days, so I must have, it's a 35-day program, so
but they only kept you because you're the only one that had a driver's license.
Yeah, I was.
Everybody else, you were the chauffeur.
Yes, but things have really worked out well, and it hasn't been easy. You know, there's been times where I wanted to throw my arms in the air, but I think the people in the Winners Foundation, like Ralph Therese and Brian McAfee and Bill Turner, there's a good support network here, which helps, you know. And there's at least a dozen or so guys that are sober on the backside today because of the Winners Foundation.
I'm very proud of him. It took a lot of courage to come back to the track and face everybody and look them in the eye and work from scratch again to get his training back and get his life in gear. And he's got a lovely barn over there with Rosie Anderson.
My mom and my brother have really stood by me, you know. And Dad did a lot for racing at BC. He's in the Hall of Fame here. You know what he used to say to me? Brian, you worry about things you can't do nothing about. And I have a tendency to worry about things I can't control.
Didn't Dad used to say, there's no hill high enough for a high stepper?
He said, it ain't no hill for a high stepper. He says, just do your job and do the groundwork, and things will turn out if they're supposed to, you know. That was one of his favorite sayings, there ain't no hill for a high stepper. He said to me, you know, he didn't want me to be 40 years old, mucking stalls and rubbing horses for somebody, you know. Yeah, he said, you know, you gotta have there ain't no pension at the racetrack, which is a real shame. And here we are. Yeah, it's been a drain for quite a while to come with a young horse. I mostly deal with claimers and that, but I could see it was too hard to grind to make money with a claiming horse, you know. I picked a horse out in the sale, and I had $10,000 in my pocket and about $1,000 in the bank, but we didn't quite have enough, I figured. And I phoned Mom, and she said, don't let a couple extra thousand stop you. By circumstance, I stood right beside Dave Milburn, and he was bidding for the same horse. And I guess the East End come out in me. He kind of looked over at me, well, maybe the kid doesn't have the money, and I got mad. And when I bid 10,000, or no, he bid 10,500, and I bid 11, and you usually bid 500 at a time. And Dave's owner bid 11 too, and I stood up and I said, you can't do that, 11.5. And now I'm getting to the end of my means, and he quit. If he goes to 12, I might not have continued, you know? So that's how close these things, you can miss things. Poor Ralph, he was having a conniption, you know, because we figured 9,000 or whatever, and when I kept bidding, Ralph and my girlfriend were contorting in the chairs, you know, and but before the horse had walked out of the ring, I was on Ralph's cell phone phoning Ma. I think we're gonna need some money, Ma, and she says, don't worry, you're covered. And by the time I left there, I signed a check for $13,400. I forgot all about the tax. So Mom had to cover the tax.
The first win he had, what was it like? Because we're watching it right now.
I was crying, and it was on Father's Day, and it was pretty emotional. Me and my brother, we couldn't quite even speak after the race. People were coming up to me. I had to walk away and be by myself, you know. It was a pretty emotional couple of weeks, like the horse win on Father's Day, and 3 days later, I got my 5-year chip for being sober.
And Farewell Storm, but it's Godolphin Road and Bias. Godolphin Road goes on to...
Ryan's horse, Godolphin Road, did get a chance to race in the $50,000 BC Cup Stallion Stakes and took a second-place finish.